Okay, good morning, our professors and our beloved friends. So our group are going to present our test design on the speaking and culture topic. First of all, our test design were conducted at Suan Kulap Vidyalai Nonthaburi School or SKN. It's an extra large public secondary school located in Nonthaburi province with over 4,000 students with around 300 teachers and staff. The school itself provides 6-year education from grade 7 to grade 12, and the students are varied from 30 to 50 students in each class up to the types of program.
Next, we have needs analysis. We conducted a survey in same school with 41 participants. The age range of the participants were 14 to 15 years old. Next. These are the results of our survey. Most of the participants don't have a partner or friend or a family member who speaks English with them. Participants hear English language occasionally outside the classroom, and they also use English language occasionally in the school. In the English language proficiency, most participants express that they know a lot of words and phrases but have difficulties in communicating. They understand most of the English conversation but not completely. They express that their most challenging communication skill is reading. In the culture and language part, participants find that British English and American English language are the most appealing. They also mentioned that Indian English appeals less to them. Whenever they see Thai people speaking fluent English in social medias or social forums, they feel very proud of them. They also admire those Thai people who speak fluently like native speakers. Korean culture and Chinese culture seem more appealing to the participants. We have interest and attitude of the participants. 64% of the participants feel that learning English speaking is very important. 76% of the participants showed genuine interest to learn English language. The top reason for them to learn English is to find a better job in the future. Participants like activities related to their real life. For example, in the English-speaking restaurants or tourist areas, they feel that their teachers need to engage them with various English-speaking culture activities. Participants prefer role plays as their speaking assessment test.
Okay, now let's come to the literature review. So we have done a lot of literature review on the test design. So first thing is we found that speaking is one of the most productive skill and to test to diagnose the errors and strengths while performing a speaking task. And on top of that, we also found that culture is also one of the most important thing to in learning the language, because without culture, students may not be able to learn the language of the natives. So there are different types of tests, and from the test, we are using a direct test, which is authentic, reliable, and valid. And for the test design approach, there are different types of test design approach, and from there we chose the test design approach recommended by where there are two stages of test developing process. So the first one is a priori validation stage, and the second is the posterior validation stage. So over the process, we have used this approach to design our test. And for the test specification, we from different kinds of test specification, we adopted the model of the test specification recommended by Bachman and Palmer. which has the following elements like proposed definition of the construct, setting time allotment instructions, characteristics of the input, and the response and scoring methods, which will be explained later. And the marking scheme. So we also have a good marking scheme, and we have basically two marking schemes, one for the speaking skill and another for the culture competence. And then for the moderation process, we did a fairly good process for the moderation. So we did the content validity by the experts and the inter-rater reliability to find out the consistency between two or more scorers. So we follow the inter-rater reliability, which will be again explained later in the slides.
Okay, for the outline of teaching task analysis, I will talk about teaching slide in a PowerPoint presentation first, followed by 2 videos of cultural differences and strip guard of situation on intercultural differences, and finally lesson plan. Remember that text selection will also be mentioned in the first 3 aspects as well. Next slide, please. Our teaching slide in a PowerPoint presentation include all steps in teaching procedure with picture and main sentences that facilitate students to follow while they are learning and what they should focus. This presentation also used to demonstrate 2 videos of cultural differences, which is funny but true cultural differences and top 50 American culture and characteristic of American people. You can go to next slide. Yeah, these 2 videos that I mentioned is from online sources, YouTube. Yeah, next slide, please. For the first video, funny but true cultural differences. The first video is about various situations that demonstrate how individuals react and feel with others from different cultures in an enjoyable and funny way. For example, here that I insert the picture, in some Asian city, it is considered acceptable for a commuter to fall asleep on the shoulder of a stranger. In New York, it's a different story. However, in a video, an Asian man fell asleep on the shoulder of a New Yorker. At first, the New Yorker feel weird, but he also do the same as he fall asleep on the shoulder of an Asian female. The example in the video can indicate to students that when we counter cultural differences, we may feel weird at first because it may be different from the way we normally behave. However, we are always adapt to ourselves, to other culture too. This video can attract students as well, as it's quite funny and enjoyable to watch. Next slide, please. For the second video, it's about American culture and characteristic of American. We select this video to help students to make use of the knowledge gained to compare and contrast what they observe of American culture and their own Thai culture. When students watch this video, we expect them to have some ideas to mark the similarity and differences between American culture and their own culture, which is Thai. Next, please. For the strip of the situation on intercultural differences, I want to assess students' speaking skill and their cultural competence. The guard are made. In the guard, there are 5 topics, which is valuing time, table manners, talking or sharing opinions, behavior in a funeral ceremony, and behavior innovating. And the picture that I insert is an example of the card that the student will get. These cards are validated and considered by the expert themselves. For the lesson plan, I will summarize an overall picture of the lesson plan, and later on I will show you the table of the lesson plan later. But first, let me summarize an overall picture first. The lesson plan, previous slide, please. Previous one. Yeah, this one. The lesson plan here is a detailed description of the class instruction, demonstrated how students are learned, how they are measured. We as a teachers, we need to teach student American culture before we test them with a subjective test, which is a giving presentation. Students need to present the given topic of a situation on intercultural differences, explaining how Americans are different from Thai in a particular topic. Students need to present in a group of 5, at least 4 to 5 minutes. Each member in the group must speak at least 1 minute during the presentation. After students finish the presentation, they need to verbally describe the cause and possible solution to intercultural conflict. And the picture that I insert is the example of the question that the student will get after they finish their presentation. Next slide, please. So this is the overall picture of the lesson plan. So right now you can go by one and show the overall image. Yeah, this is stage 1. We have 3 stages in our lesson plan. You can go. In session 2 is in detail. It's like our instruction and how we instruct them before we let them do the practice. And the previous one is stage 3, which is the practice.
Next, coming for the test task analysis, based on Bashman. So our test specification model are as the follow. For the first one, our purpose, we base on the student needs analysis, which can be categorized into 2. The first one is the cultures of native, which they prefer American context. And the second one is realized communication. So as the result, it comes out to be the learning outcome for the first one. For the student to be able to describe the similarity and contrast between Thai and American. The second, to identify the cause and provide proper solution for the intercultural conflict. The third one, for them to present or demonstrate the cause and solution for the intercultural conflicts. For the second topic, the definition of the construct, we consider in the 2 competencies. The first one, speaking competency, and the second one, cultural competency. For setting, as I mentioned at the first slide, and for the time allotment, since this is a subjective test, so we don't have this one. And for the instruction, I'll go briefly on this one since we already talked about the lesson plan. So after we divided students into group of 4 or 5 students, we provide them the topic, which these topic will be a part of our assessment. So one group will get one topic that they are going to explore online and use the background knowledge to discuss on the topic given. And then they need to prepare the demonstration or the presentation afterward. And for the characteristic of the input and the expected response from the prompt attribute, we will provide them the cultural differences of Thai and American by showing them the video clips. And for the response that we expect from them, are for them to be able to discuss and come out with the presentation afterward. And for the scoring method, we use bullet test. So the test, as I mentioned before, that we focus on 2 competencies. So the rubric are divided into 2 parts. The first rubric is for speaking, and the second rubric for cultural. And for cultural, we criticize them, we assess them on 2 sides. The first one is cultural knowledge, for them to be able to tell the differences or the similarity. And for intercultural skill, for them to be able to solve the conflicts, the misunderstanding. So for our first pilot, we do the small pilot in the first place. The purpose is to try out our test design in the real situation to see that if our test design needs any revision or addition before the real pilot study. The sampling of students are the 7 volunteers of them. So some problem that we found from the small pilot is the time design, which we need to give them more time for the preparation. The second one is about the instruction and material. Students found it hard to understand some instruction, and from the video in the material and the script, the picture script given to them, also they found some problem of vocabulary, and then there are some technical problem occur.
Okay, so this is the marking scheme for the speaking skill. So we have 6 criteria: grammatical and accuracy, fluency and language competence, pronunciation, vocabulary, gestures, and voice. And this marking scheme will be used for students' speaking assessment. And this is the marking scheme for cultural competence, so which has got 3 criteria like identification of culture differences, resolution of intercultural conflict, and practicality of resolution. So this both the marking schemes are designed by our group, and it is been judged, and the content validation has been done by the experts. For the moderation, we have the content validity. So before administering the test, we asked 3 experts in the field of English language teaching to check the content validity of the test. So for that one, we have designed 3 IOC, the item objective congruence, for speaking, for culture, and for the overall validity of the test. And it is the consistency of each item will be evaluated following the IOC formula. And this is the evaluation form 1 for speaking ability. So this the experts judged based on the items mentioned in this evaluation form 1. And this is for cultural knowledge. So experts judged our test based on the items mentioned in the second part. And this is the evaluation form 3 for conclusion or general part of our test, where the evaluation judged and then mentioned whether the test is appropriate or not. And during and after the marking of the speaking task, so students were awarded marks by 2 examiners using the marking scheme mentioned before. So the first examiner awards a mark for the performance as a whole using the cultural competence rubric, and the second assessor awards mark using the speaking skill rubric. Then after scoring, compiling the marks of the students, we found the test reliability, and that test reliability is done calculated using the correlation coefficient formula, as you can see in the slide.
Okay, so next for our pilot study. So for this time, the purpose is to apply our test design into 2 periods. We use 2 periods or about 100 minutes classroom in order to test and find our reliability and validity of the test. The sampling this time is 1 classroom of 50 students of grade 9 students who are studying in the school, and the class is considered the best class from the same level.
Next, we have quantitative data analysis. The test measurement consists of 2 important tools. Those are test validity and test reliability. We have 3 experts. All the 3 experts are of different nationalities. First, we have Mr. Carlos, who is a Filipino English teacher. Second, we have Mrs. Patrani, who is Thai English teacher. And third, we have Mr. Brand, who is a native English speaker from America. Next, please. These are the IOC result. First part, we have speaking ability. Here it shows that 4 items have high validity with a full score of 1. Number 5 has a score of 0.67, as one of the experts commented that our topics are broad. And number 6 has the score of 0.3, as one expert viewed that the target language use is too broad. Here, the 4 items. Okay, next. Can we go to part 2? Okay. Okay, culture knowledge. Next, we have culture knowledge. In culture knowledge, every item except number 3 has an overall score over 0.5, which is considered statistically acceptable. 5 items have high validity with a full score of 1. Only item number 3 has the score 0.3. As one expert suggested to change basic to socially acceptable behavior, we provided 5 relevant situations of socially acceptable behaviors, like in wedding, opinion sharing, through resolving the culture conflicts. In the conclusion part, in the IOC result conclusion part, every item except number 5 and 6 has an overall score over 0.5, which is considered statistically acceptable. 4 items have high validity with a full score of 1. Item number 5 has a score of 0.3, as one expert suggested, adding more criteria for cultural competence rubric. Item number 6 has also a score of 0.3, as one expert mentioned that students have the Hollywood view of American culture, not the real experience. Therefore, we shared relevant personal examples of intercultural differences and also provided relevant situations as examples to resolve the conflict after getting the comments from the experts. In the reliability, we used inter-rater reliability, as the task is more like a performance task. We also used this inter-rater reliability because to reduce the bias in terms of decision of giving the scores on the scoring rubrics. And the raters rated the test and measured for consistent results. We recorded the video of the entire test that were conducted. We also used the score to calculate the reliability of the test. As we already mentioned, the higher the consistent result, higher the reliability, and lower the consistent results, the lower the reliability. These are the scores we gave to the groups of participants using the scoring rubrics, of course. In the correlation coefficient, we got R as 0.95, and it is in the formula of correlation coefficient. It is said that if R is more than 0.30, it says that scores are desirable. If R is less than 0.20, scores are not unreliable. So here in our score, we got R equals to 0.95, which is more than 0.30, which means that we have positive correlation. In the qualitative data analysis, we have 3 experts, as we already mentioned, 3 experts of 3 nationalities. First, the Filipino English teachers commented that scores for speaking and culture competency rubrics must be the same. So accordingly, we adjusted the rubrics. Second, we have expert number 2. She said that one evaluation to assess the rubric and another one to assess the questions following the situation. And she also commented that research and culture competence scale. So accordingly, we also adjusted. Third expert, American English teacher, recommended to add body language and confidence levels in the rubrics, word replacement in the rubrics for culture knowledge. As per his recommendation, we added body gesture in our rubrics. Next, we have the opinions, students' opinions. These are the positive feedbacks from the participants. Most of the participants showed their genuine interests and they were very much interested to learn. They also said the activities were very relevant and interesting, but there were also some areas for improvement. They mentioned that there were chaos in the classroom. We also accept this fact because we also noticed there were chaos while doing the group discussions. There were also technical problems. In the beginning of the session, we had some technical problems, and due to time constraint, they could not complete their activity on time. They also commented that some teachers, we spoke quietly and some spoke fast. They said that all the activities were in assumed situation. They want to experience the situation in their real life. Next.
For the final revised English speaking test, after we have done all these parts, so this one is the summarization of how we finalize our EDIT. So for the time allotment, we consider to present some more background knowledge for students before the test, provide some more time for the student to prepare themselves before the presentation. For the content one, we consider about simplify our English level to suit with the student level and present some difficult vocabulary before the video presentation. For the instruction part as well, to simplify the English level to assure the student understand what we are asking them to do. For the material part, we need to mind the level of language used in the video. We need to really be selective in choosing material that suit with the student level, and also to consider using authentic video or material or situation is one thing that we consider. For the assessment and evaluation, since our test design is authentic test and is reliable and valid, so we have nothing to comment on this point. Here are our references. Thank you so much for your attention.